Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club podcast. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined by Malya, my co-host and stepsister. Hi, Mal.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I think that this is a very well-timed recording because we sort of just released the last episode, so I have a fresh flurry of feedback about it.
Yeah, so wait. Do you think people listen straight when they get it into their podcast feeds, like their Apple or Spotify feeds? Because I didn't post about it as early as I usually do. I was distracted by the last week of school. I kind of forgot that it was out. And some people must really listen right away, just like our true diehard fans.
I think the people who are listening, like, they have it on their feed, and when they get a new episode, they're listening right away.
It's very nice. Some people are probably prompted by the Instagram post, but others, they're ready for it.
I think so.
I really appreciate that. Okay, wait, so what was the feedback you got?
One thing that we both got, which I thought was really cute, was that the author of the post read the book, listened to the podcast, and she was kind of doing what you always say laughingly that your mom does, which is like messaging us in real time as she was listening to the podcast, just sort of answering our questions or responding to what we were saying without giving us any context, just like a live tweet of the episode, which I thought
it was a real
really
rabbi.
Sweet. Yeah. It was a real rabbi. Or like, yes, I was a little nervous when I heard about the Curtis Sittenfeld book. Or like, just kind of responding, which I thought was really sweet and endearing.
Yeah, I like that too. I can't believe, so Kayla listened to the episode and I think she really liked it, but she told us that she wrote it in college. Like, she's such a good writer. I just don't understand.
I know. And she's really young. Like, college was just a couple years ago.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And she did say, she also said at the end that she has another book that she's written that she's shopping around. So we'll be hearing more from her.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved her and the book, and I'm really excited that she liked the episode and she likes the name of our podcast, which is great. I'm glad she listened. Yeah, I'm really glad she listened.
And then the other feedback that I got was, so this past week, William was down at our house in South New Jersey, and we had this artist there who was painting a mural on the garage that's next door to our house. And so they were out for long hours painting and listening to podcasts and music and whatever to entertain themselves. And William, who's like our hype man, was like, this is the podcast you should be listening to, and put on our latest episode. And the artist was like, I really like your stepsister. I really like her laugh. I like her voice. I want to meet her.
Damn.
So he loved the podcast and particularly was a fan of you.
What, that is so lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, he was. And then I think they listened to a couple episodes and he was like, it's girly in the best possible way, which I take as a huge compliment.
Yeah, I really appreciate that feedback. I once had someone say that they were intimidated by the girliness of my bed in my Park Slope apartment.
Was it very girly?
I don't know. It was like, first of all, I don't know if you remember that room. Like, probably not, because it wasn't meant to be a room. Like, that was meant to be a 2-bedroom, not a 3-bedroom. And that room was not meant to be a room. It was meant to be like,
it was really small and like windowless.
It was really, really small.
And I vaguely
remember.
A
tiny bed that fit in it. It was a very small room, but on the bed was like a very frilly pink, like, duvet, like with like tears, like very frilly tears. And someone was like, I'm intimidated by the girliness of that. I'm intimidated by your bed.
That's funny.
Anyway, delightfully girly, though, we'll take.
Absolutely. Girly in the best possible way.
Girly in the best possible way, yeah. Awesome. That's amazing feedback. I didn't get a ton yet, but I'll let you know what I hear. I mean, obviously the Kayla one was the biggest, because when an author listens, it's, amazing. And
totally. And I do feel like some authors, like, they'll like it or whatever, but they don't actually give any indication that they listened to the full episode, which is fine.
Right.
But
totally.
She
totally
clearly did.
Can I tell you who I could tell is a fan? And I don't know, for some reason, like, my Instagram skills aren't good enough to like repost every time she does this, but Jennifer Wilk, who wrote Oh my God, what was the name of it? It like took place in New Jersey, and it was my favorite because we did the karaoke.
Was it Home for the Holidays?
Yeah, Home for the Holidays. Jennifer Wilk always reposts every time we release an episode. She shares it
Oh, wow.
in her stories.
That's so lovely.
I know. I really love that.
Stacey
Like I think,
Agdern likes a lot of our posts also.
yeah, Stacy likes them. Yeah, for sure. And Roz apparently always listens. So I
That
don't
was
know.
a big
It's very,
surprise, but really
it's great.
sweet.
It's
Yeah,
great.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
I know. Yeah, really, really good stuff. And
Yes.
tonight we're talking about Margo Zimmerman Gets the Girl, another gay YA. It's been a while since we've read queer YA, but they're good.
Reading this book reminded me of why YA is so delightful and why I was skeptical of it for a long time, but last year I think is really when I fell into it, and it's just the cute little details are so fun. And adult books don't have that. The details about clothes and music and I don't know, there's just fun little things sprinkled in.
Okay, also, it's funny. And of course, like there are rom-coms out there, like Late Night Love was also funny. So it's like it's not fair for me to say that YA books are like kind of have a ability to be funnier than others, except that for the most part, I mean, like Late Night Love was sincerely funny. It was really good.
Totally.
But Margo Zimmerman Gets the Girl is funny in a way that I feel YA does better than grown-up books. Something about the dialogue that I don't know.
I hear you.
And
And like the timing and the sort of mocking of teenage awkwardness is in a very detailed way is very funny. You can really visualize it. Like I think of with every YA, we were like, this would be a great Netflix limited series or a great made like movie, and I feel like this was no exception.
exactly, because it's like the inner monologue. Like here's the thing. Like let me backtrack for our listeners. Margo Zimmerman Gets the Girl. It starts off where Margo Zimmerman, who appears to be like a super hot, fun senior in high school, is at a party. Her boyfriend's there. She's playing spin the bottle. It lands on a girl. She kisses that girl and has this epiphany where she's like, oh my God, I'm gay. Like that's like the very first paragraph, no spoilers there.
Right.
And it starts off with this epiphany and then goes into this senior year where Margo is trying to figure out like how to fit into queer culture. But the other thing about it is that she also has autism, and a way
Yes.
that her autism manifests is that she really likes getting knowledge about whatever it is that she's learning about. Like that is a major way her autism manifests itself. And so
Right.
once she realizes that she's gay but doesn't know how to be gay or what queer culture is, like she feels like she needs to learn. And there's this other person on her swim team, Abby Sokoloff, who she decides she wants to learn from. And that's like how it all starts.
Totally. And one thing that I really liked about how it starts was that so the way the book is written, it alternates chapters between chapters in Margot's perspective and chapters in Abby's perspective. So the first chapter in Margot's perspective, where it's describing this epiphany she has while playing Spin the Bottle, kind of makes her sound sort of awkward and like she refers to herself as being on the autism spectrum, like she has this epiphany about her sexuality. It's just sort of, I don't know, she sounds kind of awkward and like she's coming into her own. But then when she's described in the second chapter through Abby's eyes, it's like, oh, she's actually like a super popular kind of cheerleader, homecoming queen type, which I never would have realized listening to her own experience of her life through her own eyes, which I thought was so true to like sort of life as a teenager.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't notice that, but you're right. The only thing I would have known from Margot's perspective is that she liked a very specific kind of girly kind of clothes. Like,
Hmm.
I would have known that because you could tell that that's something she's interested in. Like, she likes shopping, she likes a certain look. And that's actually like an interesting part of the story where,
Yeah,
well, I mean, a lot of things here. So it's like she's trying to learn about queer culture, and one of I think the funniest things that happens is at the very beginning. Also, one of the most Jewish things about this book is that her brother's name is Mendel.
I was going to say right away, I was like, I have never heard of sort of like a liberal Jewish family with a child named Mendel.
Okay, but it made me think of you guys because here's the thing, like a Margo and a Mendel in one family is as unusual as a Barry and a Mushki.
That's true. Although
I
we
was
did read that book that had Barry and Mushka in it, if you remember last year.
which
So
is
weird.
completely
Yeah, that was bizarre.
insane. But like Margo and Mendel.
And Mendel is a weird coupling. I also
I
had
loved
another
it.
friend. I have a friend whose name is Adrian, a girl named Adrian, but all her siblings have super like her brother is like Naphtali.
But the thing is, like, is it because this is a family where everyone got one Hebrew name and one like one English American and an Americanized name, and they chose to go by Adrian, but really it could have been that she went by Ahuva or whatever. Like, can you ask her?
I could ask her. I mean, I'm sure she has a name that's not Adrian, but I think her parents chose to call her Adrian and her brother Naphtali. Like,
Right.
they went with
Right.
the English name for one and the Hebrew with the other. I don't know why. I think all her siblings had sort of frummy names and she was just Adrian, which is kind of, I don't know, like maybe people just like certain names and they're not necessarily
what they like.
like us. Like,
Listen,
it's not about
yeah.
which one sounds
Barry and
from. It's
Mushki,
just we
Menzel
like
and
Barry, we
Margo.
like Mushka. Exactly.
I love them both. But it is one of the most Jewish things about this book. Anyway, she like basically like I think he like sees her Googling like queer culture or something like that. And and also he is gay, Mendel,
Right.
the brother.
Yes.
And
And a
he's
fireman?
like,
Is he a fireman?
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And he starts talking about like boat shoes and Lacoste polos. But again, like Margot's trying, she wants to be the best. She wants to be good at whatever it is she does. Like she wants to have all the knowledge, but also like succeed and excel. Like she's a good student. Like that's something she really wants to do well. Like
And if she's going to be gay, she's going to be like the perfect gay.
exactly. So she shows up to teen night at this gay club they live in Ocala, Florida.
Right.
And it's also just like another amazing, like utopian teen night at a club that seems so fun. Like, what about? I was just thinking, even just like straight night at a teen night at all, like teen night at a cool club, like. Or what about grown up night? Like, where are the clubs?
Right. Like, where is Ocala, California? Like, not California, Ocala, Florida. Like, is it a suburb that has a club for teens?
Like, is it just like Florida's different than here, or are there clubs I don't know about? It sounds really cool that there was teen night at this gay club in Florida where it's like there's only one. It's like there's one. This seems like an amazing club. Willow.
Totally. How did that develop? Where's the how did they zero in on that market? I don't know.
Yeah, Willow. Anyway, so she shows up at this club, like dressed as a gay man, basically, like on his way to Fire Island, because she was talking to Mendel, and whatever she Googled, like showed her like boat shoes and like salmon colored khaki type shorts, like chinos.
Like shorts, totally.
Like chinos, like she like shows up looking like either like a gay guy in Fire Island or like any of the Waspy boys that went to Skidmore with me, but like she's like dressed in this like really specific kind of outfit of like a Lacoste polo, Sperry sliders. It was such a funny scene to me, and like it's like a sea of plaid, and she kind of sticks out, and because there's something about her that's very direct, and because she's very direct, she sees someone at this club and she's specifically like, are you mask for mask? Like she doesn't know how to be in this setting.
Right.
She doesn't know how to flirt.
She's being sort of like overly clinical about like what's going on in the whole exchange.
It really cracked me up. And then Abby overhears this and she's like, I'm sure and it seems like she's shocked that she's there, does not know what's going on, and sort of embarrasses her. Margo ends up leaving, but that's like the night. That's like the night it all starts for them. They see each other at this teen night, where she's dressed in boat shoes. she like shows up back at her house. Her brother makes fun of her. She realizes that it's not right and that she needs lessons and needs to do it right. So that's why she seeks out Abby's help. But simultaneously, Abby's failing history, a class that Margot's really good at. So
Right.
even though initially Abby kind of rejects her proposal, like she's like, I'm not teaching you how to be queer. No. At
Right.
first, but then she realizes
She could
I'm
actually use some
failing.
help herself, right?
Exactly. So she says, yes, I'll, help you learn about queer culture if you help me, pass history, because I guess she's at risk of like losing her college acceptance. And that's basically like the plot. The
This is
plot
funny
ensues
because
from
one of the
there.
first YA books that we read was 8 Nights of Flirting, which was also a teach me about something, like
An
tutor me.
exchange.
Yes, but it was about flirting. It was a guy and a girl, teenagers, and the girl needed to learn how to flirt or how to kiss or something.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that the whole
Yeah.
conceit of
Yeah,
another
that was it. Yeah, I
YA
forgot.
Jewish romance
Yeah.
we read? So
Yeah,
maybe this
Eight
is
Nights
like
of
a
Flirting.
trope in this subgenre.
Yeah, like an exchange of tutoring.
Right.
Definitely it is.
Right.
Definitely.
I like it. It's cute.
Yeah, I like it too. And the thing is, like, I think that I think the second book we've read with like autism representation, and
Mm.
and it's very different than Eight Kinky Nights. It's like first of all, in a sense, Margot's higher functioning, right? Like, although in Eight Kinky Nights, like they were they had a lot of friends. They were really smart. They had jobs. Like they were actually pretty high functioning. They had successful relationships. And
But they had
but
also
in
created a whole world that I think were a lot of other neurodiverse people who had
right,
sort of created their own community for themselves.
right. And here, Margot is not in that scene. She's fully immersed in what seems to me like the most popular clique in school.
Yeah, she's like a popular high school girl. She was
And
dating like the dumb jock. Like she was like the
yeah, and her best friend is like the hottest, richest Palestinian horse owner.
right. She's friends with a Palestinian horse owner, and she plays video games with him weekly.
Yeah, they're really close. She loves like tending to his horses. Also, he's described. There's a line that describes him that I find like so sexy. It's like
What?
the way his muscles were described is like roped muscles. I don't know. There was something about the way it was described. I was like, Jamal's so hot.
It's so funny because I feel like there was a scene in 8 Nights of Flirting where they were making out or something, and it was really a sexy scene, and I was like, how sexy am I allowed to find a scene with two 16-year-olds making out? Like, is this
I don't know. I
fun
don't know
or
the answer to that.
weird?
But Jamal in this book was very attractive. And also, one other thing is that Abby is bi. And so
Right.
Abby also like thinks Jamal is extremely hot. Like later in the book when she shows up she gets invited to his house, she's speechless. Like she's
And also thinks Mendel's really hot.
yes. A lot of
Mendel the
attractive people in
fireman.
this book. A lot of
And
attractive people
also
in this book. Mendel Zimmerman.
Mendel Zimmerman. Love it. Yeah, I think the whole thing with Jamal was that, like, the proof that Margot was undeniably gay is that she had never come on to, like, that she was able to have this platonic best friendship with Jamal. Because, like, if she were straight, he was just so undeniably attractive that could never
Right,
have
with
happened.
roped muscles.
Right, the roped muscles could never have just been next to her playing video games every week for years like that, unless she were gay.
Right. Um, so the thing that was the autism representation I think is really cool. I think that it's interesting that she's fully integrated into this completely mainstream, very popular clique.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it manifests itself in a few ways in the book that I think is interesting. Like she does some stimming. She likes to organize the pencils on her desk in a very specific way. Sometimes
Right.
when things get overwhelming, she stims, and at one point she flaps because she's hearing I think Abby's giving her a very specific lesson on lesbian sex,
Mm-hmm.
and it's too much input, like she can't tolerate it, and so
Right.
she flaps like right in
Right,
front
right,
of her,
right.
like she cannot. And I don't know, I just liked the way it's woven in. because it's not really the focal point. It's sort of just woven in, which, by the way, I feel like the Jewish identities are also just kind of sprinkled in. Like, it's definitely not a focal point of this book.
Right, but it is sort of like just casually mentioned throughout. Like, this was almost as hard as fasting last week on Yom Kippur. You know, like, it's just sort of
Yes.
a reference.
She's like, right, like Abby walks into her home and she's like, I'm standing there on the welcome mat that says Shalom Sweet Home.
Right.
I like that. Shalom Sweet Home.
And the whole reason
I've never
that
seen it.
Margo and Jamal play video games every week is because everyone else they know, it seems, is in church on Sunday.
Right, exactly. Everyone else they know has a Lord's Day that's not that on Sundays they're both free, because she's like, my Lord's Day is Shabbat and he's agnostic.
Right. So it seems like everyone else is like a church-going Christian.
Right,
what, that
exactly.
he's agnostic?
I just like saying agnostic. I just think like describing I just think it's a very teenage thing.
Totally. And that it would be like an added point of sexiness. Like, oh, he's agnostic. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Such a turn on, agnostic. Yeah.
Yes. I really like this book. I really got a kick out of it. I thought it was well written and funny. And also it's written by two authors, which feels really hard. I don't know. How does that work?
Like, I wonder what the process is there. And also, you know, I'm interested. This book had a lot of, like, it felt like current references, like, to sort of teenage stuff. Like, there was one point where they were that scene where they're shopping in Old Navy and the friend is like, is this like Euphoria Zendaya or something else Zendaya,
yeah.
right? Like, they're like,
yeah.
which one is this giving? Like, I don't know. I always wonder, obviously the authors aren't teenagers. And it's like, are they doing research on sort of like what teenagers want to look like when they're shot? Like, are they researching?
Okay,
Do they just
by the way,
like what?
There's feedback that I've never shared on the podcast from Jonathan that sometimes like you sound really old. Like us, not you, Malya, like us sometimes. And I feel like this is one of those moments.
Oh shit.
But like, I don't know.
How do they know?
I don't know.
First of all, most people are saying.
A lot of those writers are obviously younger than us, but also like it's, I know, I remember her answers, like it's giving Euphoria. She's like distracted about something and like overwhelmed, but she's like, she's like, it's giving Euphoria. No, I don't know. I think they're doing research or they're also just like young and cool.
Right. They're young and cool. They know what they know how to make that work in a book.
I really like it. The attraction and the chemistry is like very, very palpable the whole time, but they're doing this like teenage thing of, well, we can't date, we don't like each other, we're friends, we're on the swim team, she doesn't like me, she's, you know, cool, or I offended her, or, you know, I'm not really like lovable. Like, you know, the other thing with Abby is that Abby's family is in a very different kind of situation than Margo's.
Right.
Margo has a family who's like really close and together and supportive, and they have a lot of fun together, and they're obviously really silly together. And for example, all of their pets' names are celebrities that have been, what is it called when they're like Dame Judi Dench or like Dame Julie Andrews, like
right, like knighted. I don't know.
Knighted.
No, not knighted. Well, it's not knighted. I don't know. Right, given some
thing.
royal title. Yeah,
everyone knows
thing.
that thing.
Right.
All of the Zimmerman's pets.
Yeah.
It's like they take it really seriously, but also it's obviously in jest. But that is their pets' names are those, like Dame Judi Dench or Julie Andrews. Like those are their pets' names.
Yeah.
And like there's a scene where Abby's there and she's like, I'm sort of acting like it's normal to be in this kind of fun family situation, but hers isn't. Her parents don't get along.
Right.
She is kind of always like, they should know I'm home. They heard me slam the door. Like, why are they still yelling? They should know I'm here and respect that. But they really, really don't get along.
They're very distracted. They're like just not paying so much attention to her.
Yeah. And it's very different. So I think that there's a lot going on for Abby with that. And
right
during the course of their relationship and these lessons in the book, the parents tell her that they are going to get a divorce. They try to backpedal. You know, there's a lot going on. And simultaneously, I think that she's having learning issues. Like she's having attention and focus issues.
Totally. Which is
So,
Right, the result of all the strife at home.
right. So it's like she's having attention and focus issues. That's why she's failing out of this class. Stuff's going on at home. I don't know how, like, ready for love she really feels. So she's, I don't know. She's like, they're pushing each other away a little bit, but they're both really attracted to each other. You
Totally.
kind of feel it the whole time. There's a lot of tension there.
Totally. From the beginning, they're both trying to hold it back because they've never really considered each other in this way. It's not enemies to lovers, but it is sort of like there is kind of like a not an enemy, but there's like a they're not friends. They're like they were always in different social circles. Like I think Abby always saw Margo as like the popular girl who dates jocks. Like even just seeing her as gay, I think takes a while, even though that's the whole premise of why they're becoming friends.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that too. It's because I also saw in that scene where Abby's in Jamal's house, like she obviously felt like a fish out of water.
Right.
Like she wasn't cool enough or wasn't, to be in this place with a bunch of cool kids. So I think it's just kind of like a reframing. But I love all that high school social, cast. Like I love all that stuff. Like I'm just like, give me more. It's like there's video game playing jocks. Like there's I don't know horses. I don't care about horses, but it's cool. At one point in the book, he's like, I can't something about her being a horse girl, and she's like, everyone's a horse girl, and I'm thinking like that is so not true. Are you a horse girl, Malya?
Not at all.
I am not a horse girl, as everyone
I
knows.
noticed
Because of
that
how
also.
not.
Like, who isn't a horse girl? I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm not a horse girl.
But I don't even know who. That feels very specific to even be exposed to horses. Like, the number of times I was even near a horse my whole childhood, like, I could probably count on one hand. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. To even know that you're a horse girl seems very specific. Who sees horses?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I have like very few memories of being around them, but I don't know. People who have country houses, I think, have horses.
Or like,
There's
again, maybe
such
it's
an
Florida.
amazing picture of my grandma. Yeah, are there even horses in Florida? I guess there are. I don't picture Florida like a horse place.
Too
There's an
hot.
amazing picture of my grandma on my Aunt Amy's horse in Colorado. It's
Aw.
so good. Speaking of which, she turned 102.
Oh my God, I saw that. Amazing.
I would love to get her on this podcast.
Would she come on?
I just like she FaceTimes. Like, is there I feel like it would be so great. She wouldn't obviously read a whole book with us.
Yeah, but she could chat about her thoughts on romance.
For sure.
That sounds
It
great.
would be so cool. It would be so cool. But yeah, there's a beautiful I guess my grandma's a horse girl. She was definitely fearless on this horse. Like there's an awesome she's riding the horse. The picture of her riding this horse, like I'm pretty sure she's in her 80s.
But had she had horse experience through her life?
I'd have to ask her.
Like, I can't imagine
I'll
just
ask her or my
clambering
mom.
onto a horse in your 80s if you've never been on a horse before.
Maybe she's a horse girl.
But like, a secret horse girl who never fulfilled her horse girlness till her 80s?
I don't know because it's like Amy had a horse in Colorado for years. So it's like, I know my mom's not a horse girl, but like,
Right.
were there horses around that Amy could have loved horses and my grandma's comfortable on a horse? I gotta ask my mom about this.
Right.
Or was it like once Amy moved to Colorado, then she, was like, I'm gonna, I don't know, get a horse. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that you and I are not horse girls, and Margo says everyone's a horse girl, but you know what? They're not.
Listen, Margot wants to be a large animal veterinarian, so she's like very all in. Maybe sometimes when you're so all in about something, you just think it's so fabulous, especially when you're a teenager. Like, how could everyone must love this. It's so great.
Right. Yeah, because she's going to be a large animal vet. Good point.
I like that she's decided on that.
Yeah, it's cool. She's a great character. I liked her better than Abby.
Oh. Why is that?
I don't know. It's like there was something about the angstiness. Again, like, I love all that teen stuff. I like the angst. But there was something about Abby's inner monologue, and I don't know. At times, I enjoyed Margo more. I guess I didn't dislike Abby. I liked Abby, and I liked them together. But it's like some of these books we read and you're like, what's the big deal? Just get together. Like, why?
Right.
What is the issue? You get along, you're attracted to each other. But, I understand we're reading books and there has to be conflict.
No, but I also feel like the fact that they're teenagers makes all that stuff a lot more believable to me. Like when you're adults, it's like, who cares? Just get together. Like in Hot Lumberjack, it's like, I don't even understand why they were taboo to each other. That made absolutely no sense to me. But maybe if they were both 15, I would have understood it. Like it's a whole different construct.
Right, you're cutting down trees. I love trees.
Right. I hate you. We could never be together. Whereas like when you're an adult, like I don't know how
you're right.
much
This
does
is
she
a good
really
point.
care about someone else's tree? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point.
So I really believed whatever, even though it was kind of all nothing, it worked for me.
Yeah, me too. It all did. Also, it got hot and heavy.
Yes, and there was a lot of like sex ed in this book.
A lot of sex ed. Also, like, I don't know that I would like to do some more research on dental dams to know, like.
I was just about to say, what did you think about the dental dam? I was like, 2 words, dental dam.
It's like,
never thought I'd come across that in a book.
I just have to do a little more research. It's like there was a ton of sex ed. Some things, I liked this whole part where she was like, Margo was like, I get penises. Like penises are more simple. Like she understands. Like there's something simple about like. I understand it.
Wait, who said
Versus,
that? Abby said she like penises are
no,
simple?
Margo, Margo was nervous about her first sex with a woman. Like, what if I'm not good? She was having like, what if I'm not good? What if I don't know what I'm doing? She was nervous. And she was like in these lessons where it wasn't like physical lessons like A Kinky Nights or anything like that. But by the way, there were lessons in that book too.
Yep.
But it was like, she's nervous. She's nervous about it. She doesn't know, what if I'm not good? Like, she's like, penises are simple. I know what to do with them. Like, what if I'm not good, with a girl?
Totally. But also with the guy, she was always just like playing a role. Like it was sort of like, it seemed like she had kind of taken it as a given that like none of this was that great for her, but it was just kind of like part of the high school, just stuff she was supposed to do. And then hopefully as she got older, it would get better. So she had never really considered something where she was really like all in herself.
Right. But Abby says something that's really nice, but also like kind of sexy, where she's like, if there's anything I know about you, it's that you pay attention. And if you pay attention to your partner, it's going to be good. And I like that.
Totally.
I don't know. It's like, I can't believe this is a YA book. Like, that was such a great thing to say. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Like, if you pay attention to the things your partner likes and do more of those things, like, pay attention. You pay attention, so you're going to be good. And also cut your nails.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, because when she was with the guy, she wasn't really enjoying it, so all she was doing was paying attention to the other person. So it makes sense that she would have thought that penises were simpler. Whereas like if you're caught up in a sexual experience as a teenager, I could imagine being so like in your head that you're not paying attention to the other person.
Yes, and so, also I think
advice.
Great advice. But and also like because of her autism, like she was she perseverated. Like, well, again, it's like wanting to be really good at things and wanting to have knowledge, but it's like you can't know everything about like sex you haven't had yet. Like that's not something,
right?
So it's like she can't get what she has to experience it.
Sure.
But
when you said you had to do more research about dental dams, did you mean like I never knew that was something teenagers would be utilizing, or frankly anyone would be utilizing.
I just like thought that like dental dams is something that like Mr. Ziering, my health teacher, told us about that like no one actually used.
Right. It's like theoretical. Yeah.
Like I thought, like I know, like I just thought that dental dams. And I remember Mr. Ziering saying, and by the way, Abby says the same thing, where she's like, also, if you don't, in a pinch, you can like cut a condom. Like,
In a pinch.
root to tip. Like in a pinch, you can cut a condom.
DIY dental dam.
She says it. She says DIY.
Yeah, no, I know she does.
You can cut a condom. She doesn't say root to tip, but that really made me laugh. Anyway, Mr. Ziering also said that. And I just remember thinking, like, someone's gonna take out a condom and cut it in half and like make it a barrier between me and what? So I don't know. I just thought that dental dams were things we learned about that weren't actually used in the real world. I still think that. But now this book seemed like A, current,
Right.
B, like cool, C, like sensitive and thoughtful about the way that they were approaching gender, sexuality, all of this sex ed stuff. Like a lot of the tips were really practical. Like Margo has long nails, and she's like, you're
Right.
gonna need to have to cut your nails, right?
Right. You're gonna hurt someone.
So it's like, then the dental dam was like kind of detailed. So when I said I want to do more research, I want to ask my friends who go down on other women to know if this is used in the real world.
Right. I wonder how much the authors felt some kind of obligation to be giving some kind of thorough health class style rundown.
Interesting, because the thing is, it's like, if I'm going to relate it to like, would anyone put a condom on, for a beach? I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Right. But like in health class, they would tell you to do that.
Right. Mr. Ziering did say that.
He said to do that.
Yeah. Condoms and dental dams for oral sex.
Right.
Yeah. It would be many moons between the time that I learned that and the time that I experienced any of that.
Of course.
But I do still remember.
Well, not of course, but I hear you.
20-something years later.
Right.
The lessons.
Right, but you're saying no one adhered to the lesson.
No one adhered to the lessons. And I'm curious if that's the case with these dental dams too.
That's why I just wonder, like, these are actually adults writing this book, if they just feel like this is what they must impart. It doesn't seem like...
I'm curious.
Right. I wonder if the real
curious.
Abby would be educating about making a dental dam. Right.
To be continued.
Right. Put a pin in that.
I'll ask a couple people that I feel comfortable asking, and that's it.
I'll
let you know what I hear. I'll let you know what I hear.
Please do.
By the way, I love that like there is like the world of Reddit and subreddit where like you could just like ask questions. Like I don't ask questions on Reddit, but I love reading through. I love Reddit. Like I think Reddit's like does it count as social media? Like I think it's my favorite part of the internet.
Really? I never look at Reddit.
It.
You know who loves Reddit? My
it.
dad. My dad loves Reddit.
Oh yeah, I should talk to him more about that. I actually knew that.
He loves talking about it too.
He probably participates.
I think he might.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's great.
what
Anyway.
subreddits he's in, but like there's one for everything.
Oh, it's a great
There
place.
was good use of, like you've said before, that you like in books where there's like text back and forths and like you're seeing that. There was a lot of good and I also liked. I feel like we've read a few books like this where it gives you the experience of having a text conversation and looking at those blue dots and how long they're just like hovering, and you're like, what are they saying? Or like, why are they writing and erasing or whatever it is.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's even better than the text is like the anxiety waiting for the text.
Right.
And
like,
waiting,
what are they writing
and
for
waiting.
so
And then
long?
she just writes back like, ha ha, like, ooh. It's so good.
So relatable.
Really feel
Everyone
it.
has been there. Like 5 minutes of those bubbles and then ha ha. Come on.
It's real. It's great. No, there's a lot of that. This book is good. I'm just so impressed at how many good books there are. That is just the dialogue, the chemistry. It's just the humor. There's just a lot. There's a lot here, and I like it.
Oh, and they also had another one of your things that you've said you like in the past, which is that there's a point where Margo's in the library and she's trying to look up, like, I guess in her quest for, which maybe is part of her autism spectrum identity, like her quest to gain information, and she's trying to take out books And actually, there's even like a political reference to like our governor says don't say gay, like in
Oh
Florida.
yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
a,
totally.
there's sort of like talking about political stuff, but like then she like Googles like queer under the radar YA. And like, a bunch of things come up and she's shocked that like her little Florida school library actually has some of this that like got past the censors. But I thought that was funny because like we're reading queer under the radar YA and the character
Yeah,
is looking that
yeah,
up. So it was like a
yeah,
self-reference, which was cute.
yeah, totally. I love that. They're always reading romance in these romance books. They really are.
Totally.
But I also like that in one of the first lessons that Abby gives Margot, she gives her a whole list of books to read.
Yes.
And Margot takes them out. And later, like a while later, she sees them. She sees that she took out the books. And she's like, I can't believe Margot actually took those books out of the library. Like, I haven't even read all those books. Like, I want to read. Like, I want to be the kind of person that's read all these books. I want to be the kind of person that seeks knowledge and devours these books and takes these books out and reads them and remembers them and cares about them. But like, she has no focus. Like, she can't do that. She's like, I got half those books on a top 40 gay books you need to read before you die list that I Googled.
Right.
And
Right.
Margot took it really seriously and read them, and there's like it's really cool
Totally.
because later she like writes an essay for Abby about one of the books
Yeah,
she
yeah,
read,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a biography.
She takes
There's
the whole
just like a lot.
curriculum very seriously.
She like follows the syllabus.
Yes.
It's
And
cool.
I think in her essay, she also talked about like, there's this whole like cute arc in the book that's like kind of predictable, but still cute about how like, Margot comes to realize she can be, like she can still be herself and like her flowery feminine dresses and get her nails done. And like, she could just be her and that's fine. She doesn't have to put on boat shoes or plaid or whatever. And like, I don't know. That was just a cute
Yeah,
little.
totally. Yeah. Because also it's like at the very beginning, Abby kind of makes her feel bad about that. Like she's like, "You're gay. Like you like I guess you can keep doing this whole high femme thing," she calls it. And all she writes it down, like Margot writes down in her notebook, like to
Right.
Google later,
High
like what's
femme.
high femme? Like what's high femme? She doesn't know. And then she starts to try to dress a little bit more like maybe like gender neutral. She's trying, like that's when she's trying to get plaid. She's trying to like dress a little more gender neutral, and it's so not her. And I do like that. I like that she realizes yeah, she could wear whatever yellow tank top with matching yellow slides or whatever it is that she wants to wear.
Totally.
Yeah. And be gay.
Right. And that her friend, like when she came out to Jamal, she was like, I'm gay. And he was like, I'm gay. Like he was like mocking how serious she was because he was like, I've known this all along. Like this was obvious to me.
Right. Right. And her friends were cool about it too. Her girlfriends were cool about it also. Everyone was. Also, I like the kind of like jock friends, like Chad's friends that she like isn't friends like the jock friends at the coffee place, just like such dum-dums. I like them.
They would be great in like a movie or something like that.
Absolutely.
Like those types of guys
Absolutely.
are like they're right out of like Mean Girls or something, I feel like.
I love that. I love that. I this would be it would be a really fun Netflix show or movie. It really would be.
Yes.
Anyway, spoiler alert. They get together.
Really not that much in the way of Jewish identity in this book. I mean, like it's sprinkled in, but it's like it's by the by, which I think is fine. I mean, it's cute actually.
Right, because it's like I would say it's like in this case when we say like what makes a Jewish romance Jewish, right? Like in this case it's like it's just that they're Jewish. Like it's Jewish representation.
Yes.
Like almost like the Raizel and Solomon books, there's not a ton, but the characters, or at least one character is Jewish. Or there's these other books we haven't read here, but I've read. It's like one of them is Funny You Should Ask. A few others, I forget the author's name, but it's like the character's Jewish, but that's really like the bulk of it. And it's like, yeah, these characters are Jewish. When she comes out, she's like, I came out to my parents. Abby says Mazel Tov.
Right.
There's a mezuzah someone kisses at one point.
Yes, there's a mezuzah.
It's like they're Jewish, but
yeah. It's not part of the plot, really.
It's not
it's like,
exactly.
It's like the setting, basically.
Yeah, it's like it's like Jewish. It's like Jewish representation more than a Jewish storyline.
Yes.
And I think it's cool that there's Jewish representation in a book like this. Because also, like, this kind of a book would be extremely appealing to a lot of high school age or college age or 40-year-olds like us. Like, it's a good book.
Good book. Really fun.
It's a good book. Yeah. It's really fun. Like, it's really enjoyable. And I like the Jewish representation and I like the autism representation. And I think that probably there's ADHD representation because of what's going on with Abby.
But they don't mention that ever. Right? That's not mentioned in the book. That's just your thought.
I don't know that. I don't know. It's. I can't remember if there's anything at the end. But it's like she's definitely having a really hard time learning.
Right.
And focusing. Like she really can't. But it could just be what you're saying, like a product of what's happening with her parents.
Right.
Yeah. The book is thoughtful and fun and super angsty, but also romantic, and you really feel a lot of feelings.
Yeah, and like it's cool to see, I don't know, I guess I always felt like books with queer characters coming out as teenagers in like, I don't know, that I'm more familiar with, there's always a little bit of like taboo of like, what will somebody think? Like, of some remnant of it being like, someone's going to disapprove, even if it's like the grandmother or the parents or whoever. This book is really like, there isn't that fear that anyone is disapproving of a queer identity. It's just purely about self-discovery and finding something new and just changing, I guess, as a teenager without without any negativity, which I don't know, I found...
Right, it's like without any homophobia or internalized homophobia. Like, that's not really what it's about. It's that she wants to fit in, and so she's, like, been straight, so she just wants to fit in with the culture, but not because of any homophobia or internalized at all. It's really... I agree with you.
Yeah, or just, like, this is what she's always been like, and now she wants to change. Like, now she wants to share that she's discovered that she is different than she thought, which I think happens to everyone as they're growing up in different ways.
Absolutely. I went to see Ben Platt today.
Oh, right.
Speaking of queer Jews. And it was really fun. And he was saying that when he came out... Is
Ben Platt a queer Jew? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the thing about it... Yeah, he's engaged to another queer Jew named Noah.
Great.
And he, like, when he came... He was saying, like, him coming out was a non-event. Because... they knew, like, it was a non-event, but at the time that was significant, and he's so happy now, like in the current generation, that that's a more common story. He was saying today.
I see. Like it was an abnormality that he was in a very accepting environment.
Yeah, like he was in a particularly accepting environment because, and also I think they all knew, like there was nothing about him coming out that was. It sounds like that was surprising to anybody. Like it was just
right. Everyone was just like, right, yeah.
Oh yes, we know.
Right,
we know and we love you.
Right.
Yeah, he's great.
Was it a good show?
Yeah, it was so good. He sang a James Taylor song, and right before he sang it, he was like, "And I'm singing this song, which also happens to be the." Part of the Camp Friends section of my the montage at my sister's bat mitzvah.
So cute.
It was just like so cute, like the Camp Friends section of my sister's bat mitzvah montage.
That's a great reference.
It's just like such a good reference. And then he just started singing like "Whenever I See Your Smiling Face."
So sweet.
Everyone started singing along.
Wait, wasn't there did we read a bat mitzvah YA book, or did we just discuss reading it but never actually did?
There was a bat mitzvah that was Broadway themed in Weather Girl.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
but there was there was that movie You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah.
You're So Not Coming to My Bat Mitzvah. Yeah,
right. But I knew that was in my head from something. That would be a great. Yeah. I mean, the whole bar bat mitzvah culture is like. Ripe for a cute YA novel.
Absolutely. And a camp, like we said, like there's not as much out there on Jewish camp experiences. Like there's more material. But you know, we
Definitely.
inspired Dahlia Adler. I hope she's writing something. Dahlia, are you still listening to
Oh,
this
that would be
podcast? Because
great.
we would love a camp book from you. It
Oh, yes.
would be
Because
great.
summer, I mean, we discussed this. I mean, summer's coming.
Yeah.
And,
Coming up, coming up. This is Pride Month, and then we're going to get to do our summer romances.
right. I saw like CBE, which is the, Reform Synagogue
Yeah.
in Park Slope, is having a big
Yep.
like Pride party. And the way they were describing it, it sounded like the Purim party in that
fun.
Roz book that we read.
Yeah.
It looked really
Yep.
fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Anything else on this? I love this book. I definitely recommend it. Margo Zimmerman Gets the Girl by Brianna Shrum and Sara Waxelbaum.
I would really like to know how those two work together because they do it really well.
Yeah, totally. That seems
But maybe they just have a good flow
really
like we
amazing.
do. Maybe it's effortless.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Well, we're lucky that we have this flow.
We sure are. Maybe it would be easier.
Mal,
like
what
maybe
should
we
we-
yeah.
Oh, yeah. What, writing?
Yeah, like I don't know, if you're writing together and you have kind of the same, you have good mojo, maybe it actually I mean, I feel like a lot of people who write for TV have writing partners.
Totally. You're right. You're
So-
right. There's definitely.
Yeah. But anyway, what should
You're
we
right.
read
Makes
next?
sense. What should we read next?
Well, we have one more
It's Pride.
Pride Month episode.
Here's the thing, like we haven't read I think there's Jewish. I think there's Jewish representation in this book. We haven't read any queer books that were with two boys, two men.
Good point.
Because I don't think there's a lot of them.
Okay.
I mean, there's tons of gay romance. Tons. I don't
Sure.
think there's a ton of gay Jewish romance.
Okay.
But this book, Unwritten Rules, a gay sports romance by Katie Casey, has come up, and it's Zach Lasser has put up with a lot for the sport he loves. Endless days on the road, playing half-decent baseball in front of half-full stadiums, and endless nights alone pretending that this is the life he's always wanted. The thing is, it could have been everything he ever wanted if only he had the guts to tell his family, tell the club, that he was in love with his teammate, Eugenio Morales. Well, ex-teammate now. When Zach couldn't come out, Eugenio made the devastating choice to move on, demanding a trade away from Oakland, away from Zach. 3 years and countless regrets later, Zach still can't get Eugenio out of his head or his heart. And when they both get selected to play in the league's All-Star Classic, those feelings and that chemistry come roaring back. Zach wants a second chance. Eugenio wants a relationship he doesn't have to hide. Maybe it's finally time they both get what they want. Is this Jewish?
What was Jewish about that?
The name Zach Lasser? I mean, it came up for me on a search a few times, but
I feel like we've been
No, I
having a lot
don't
of
know.
this lately. That's really funny. Oh, I mean, is it Jewish?
that was a good. You know what? I'm glad I read the description.
Totally.
To
It
be
sounded
continued.
good.
We'll find out if they're Jews. I think that he has to be. I don't think Eugenio Morales is, but I think that Zach is.
Right.
It's just come up on too many searches for me. But let's see what else I can offer us.
Okay.
Now, was there some Nice Jewish Boys by Sarah L. Young? Avishai Miller is your typical kid, except that his mother is dead. He barely speaks to his father, and he's secretly dating Noah, a male classmate at his Jewish private school. Then their relationship is discovered. Everything they know changes, leaving them struggling to find their feet in a new, unwelcome reality. Yikes.
That sounds good.
That's called Nice Jewish Boys by Sarah L. Young.
That's too intense, you think?
No. By the way, it's YA again. It says teen and young adult Jewish fiction. I think this has to be it. Oh my God, I think there's 0 reviews. Hold on, has anyone read this? 0 reviews. That's never happened.
Listen, under the radar queer YA is apparently a genre.
Yeah.
This
Nice Jewish Boys. It's he's wearing like a kippah sruga with like rainbow stitching.
and his name's what?
I think we gotta
Avishai?
read it. Avishai Miller is your typical kid, except that his mother is dead. He barely speaks to his father, and he's secretly dating Noah, a male classmate at his Jewish private school. Here's the thing about this. This is gonna have that storyline you're saying, which is like, it's taboo and not accepted in the community. And we have never read that because all the books we've been reading are like really like cozy and progressive in a great way.
That's true.
So like going by coastal, everyone's accepting it. Here, everyone's accepting. And I think that's a great thing in the way it should be. But this is going to be a totally different thing because we're going back to from Jewish romance.
Right. From queer romance. I like it. I think we should explore it.
Do you want, there's a sample text. You want to hear like the first paragraph of the book?
Sure.
Chapter 1. Did you see this? Asked the text. Oh, good. There's text. I love that.
There you go.
Along with a YouTube link. Oh, great. Avishai smiled as he tapped it open. Noah was always sending him cute animal videos. He stopped smiling, though, when his father's face appeared on the screen along with the headline, Post-vote conference with Congressman Miller of Georgia. What? He closed the window and texted Noah, not now. Avishai didn't want to focus on his dad now. He'd be home soon enough as it was. His phone chimed again. There's so much texting in this book. We're going to love it.
Sounds great.
I've seen enough.
Great. I'm in. Nice Jewish boys.
Okay. Nice Jewish Boys. Kindle edition is $2.99 by Sara L. Young.
Works for me. Price is right.
Price is right. It's 128 pages.
Wow. Okay.
Pride Month. We're really loving you so far. Margo Zimmerman gets the girl. Nice Jewish Boys is next.
Really cute. Cool.
Okay. Great. Well, this was fun.
It sure was.
We'll be back with our next episode. Hanukkah Erotica is produced by William Levin. It's brought to you by Hanukkah Pong, which is a menorah-shaped beer pong available on Amazon all year round. I'm Raizel. This is Malya. Rate us 5 stars. Follow us on Instagram.
Leave us a review.
Leave us a review.
Please.
That's everything.
Good night,
Good
Raiz.
night.